Hello, you're listening to Underscore, a show by the Chicago Graphic Design Club. I am your host, Christian Solorzano. However, on today's episode, which is our 100th episode, I will not be the host because there's a special host that's going to be interviewing me today. And that host is my good friend, my collaborator, and my mentor, Rick Valicenti. And on this episode, he will be turning the mic in my direction to ask me questions about everything Chicago Graphic Design Club, everything this podcast, everything this community that we've been building for the last almost 6 years. And it's going to be a conversation with me reflecting on everything that we've been doing. I think today, despite all the ugliness that is happening in the world, community seems to be that antidote to a lot of the fear and isolation that a lot of us are facing. And this platform for me has been a way of practicing attention, curiosity, and ways to build relationships with people that both I look up to and people that work alongside me as well. So I also really want to say thank you to you, the listener, whether you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning or whether you're tuning in for the first time. None of this could be done without you, so thank you so much. And as I look to the future of Underscore, I really hope to continue to bring rich conversations with guests across different disciplines and practices to shed light on the thing that drives us, the thing that inspires us to get up every morning and create despite it all. And I guess that's all I have to say. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, Christian.
Hello, Rick.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
You said you were nervous just before we pushed play. Come on.
Yeah, and I never get nervous, but I'm a little nervous right now.
It's good. Well, thank you for giving me that privilege and opportunity to be your 100th podcast host and being the one to lead the conversation today. So the roles are reversed. No wonder you're just like a little out of sorts. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so here we go. It is Friday, February 6th. It's about 3:38 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm conversing with you, my friend, from my studio here in Toronto. Are you in your studio in Oak Park?
I am in my studio in Oak Park. I'm on Lake Street, right across the street from the movie theater.
Yeah, is it a new location?
It is a new location. I moved in here December 26th is when I got the keys, and and today is February 6th, so I've been here for over a month now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good gift to self.
Yeah, it was my birthday gift, or not my birthday gift, my Christmas gift. And how I got the studio is interesting because my brother and I we went to the movie theater across the street, and as we were leaving, we saw a sign that said for lease. And the person who manages a lot of these properties, his name is David King, and I called him maybe 8 times and he would not pick up. And
He's the king. Come on, the king of
yeah,
Oak Park.
and I looked up his reviews online, and he's notorious for not answering his phone. So just as I
Is
was
he in the
about,
real estate business? How does that work?
he is, but he's just really, really busy. Like he's just one of those guys that's just extremely busy, and he's been doing this for I think for over 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he called me, and he said, "Are you available to see the office in 20 minutes?" And I was. And then I called my brother and I asked if he'd be willing to come with. And he was also like on the way to Oak Park. So everything worked out perfectly. And we saw the space. We saw two spaces, one here and then one down the block. And we went with this one just because the windows, there's a lot of good lighting here.
So this keeps the home environment a little more open.
Yes, because I mean I've been working from my house since the pandemic, and there's no curtain. It's just all I wake up and I'm there, and there's no separation. And and I've been inviting people over to my house most Fridays to work there, and sometimes it just gets a little too crowded, and I don't want to be working in my kitchen with people.
So now you can take them to this space.
Exactly.
Yeah. Does this have a name?
The name is Opal, Opal.
Nice. Why did you pick that name?
I think it looks good. I like the letter forms. I also like the meaning of opalescent and something that is shape-shifting and can take on different colors and different forms. And I mean that's pretty much it. And I'm sure that the name will keep developing as time goes on and new meaning will be assigned to it. But for now, I just think it's a cool sounding word.
It is. Was it also a French car,
I'm not sure.
the Opal? Maybe it's Opol. I don't know.
Okay.
But it has a cool resonance to me
Yeah. And it
from another
feels
decade, another century, actually.
yeah. And it feels to me it feels really like timeless. Like it doesn't feel dated. It doesn't feel like something that will age. And there's something I like about that as well. When I hear that word, to me it feels like something that demands respect. Whatever that means.
Means respect.
Yeah.
Okay, so now in respect to what you've been doing 99 times, I'm going to borrow a little bit of that,
Okay.
okay, for this moment. Hi, Christian. Could you tell me your origin story?
My origin story.
How
Oh,
did
that
you get
question.
here? Unless you've told this a zillion times, and I don't think you have. You've told parts of it.
Yeah.
But just give us a quick
Yeah.
Claude version.
My origin story. I was born in Texas in 1991, September
What
4th,
city?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
And it was
And
September
what
4th,
year? Okay, I'm sorry.
to September 14, 1991. And I was born, I had a mom and a dad. I was the firstborn, and I lived in Texas up until I was maybe 5 years old. And then my parents separated, and then my mom and we moved to Chicago when I think it was like 1997, and I've been here ever since. And when I was, I think 11 years old, my grandmother bought me my first computer, and it was a Sony Vaio. That was the name of the computer. And for the first year or so, I had no internet. It was just like computer games and like Microsoft Paint. And then I remember experiencing my first encounter with a printer. And I remember I was making something, and I think it was probably Microsoft Word. And I remember hitting print and like seeing the thing come out of the printer that I had just seen on the screen. And to me, that was like so exhilarating. And I feel like that's a feeling that I've been chasing ever since.
The buzz associated with that discovery.
Yeah. And it
Yeah, like,
just,
oh, I went from my screen to a piece of paper.
yeah.
Nice.
And then, and when I was a teenager, I was I was a good student up until sixth grade. In fifth grade, I went to Mexico for the summer and I discovered rock and roll music. And like exactly after that, my grades just started to dip.
There was a correlation. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to think about anything besides music and arts and design. And at that time, like there weren't too many people my age that were also into the same things that I was into. So I did have kind of a isolated teenage period, but I would meet a lot of people on the internet that would introduce me to a lot of things. And I think for a few years, like my mom was really concerned because she'd see me on the internet talking to all these older people, and they would send me like bootleg CDs in the mail, and they would just like they would just share with me a lot of music and DVDs and things like that. And I feel so bad for my mom because from her point of view, like she was probably thinking that I was talking to like a bunch of creeps online that were just like sending me free things in the mail. But I think I turned out well. I think I turned out fine thus far.
How old are you?
I am 34.
Good. That kept us from doing the math on the date you were born.
Yep, yep.
34.
Yeah, 34.
Okay, wise for your age. Seriously.
Thanks. I feel like 34 is like a very I have this light. I don't know, you can't see it on the camera, but I have this green light that's like this light strip on my wall. and I feel like 34 feels like a green number. And I feel like once I'm 35, it's gonna turn a little bit like orange.
Are we moving energy like through the chakras, or are you thinking of like
I'm just thinking about
racing
the,
lights on a Indy 500?
I don't know, I just think of like I associate that color with those numbers. Yeah.
So,
There's no profound meaning behind it. It's just whenever I hear 34, I think of that.
so if it's a green year,
Yeah,
and one might associate green with go, is that how
possibly.
it feels?
Um, a little bit, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been doing this night job thing, is what I call it, related to the Chicago Graphic Design Club for a while, right? I think it was a COVID experience
It
or
was.
a result of COVID, and everyone was locked down. Do you want to just like open that curtain a little bit?
Yeah. So it was late April or mid to late April, and I was living in Oak Park, actually down the street from where I'm at right now. And I remember I was complaining to my friends so much about the AIGA and the STA because I felt like they turned their back on the community in Chicago. Because to me, the pandemic was the moment in time when community was most important and connection was most important.
Mhm.
And
Necessary.
it was necessary.
Yeah, like
And
vital.
and they weren't doing anything about it. And I mean, that's not, I'm not trying to criticize them or anything, but I felt like to me that was the opportunity for me to step up and do something. And that something was a book discussion. And it was,
First of all, before you go into that, I'm really curious about the spark. Is this a like thought that you're having ongoing and it's taking shape? Like, oh, we have to do something. Who's the we? The we is you.
yeah.
And the desire or the need is shared, though virtually, across lots of territory and lots of people. I want to know how this all happened. Or was it like, oh, I'm taking a shower. I'm having a big idea. I think I'm going to do a book reading.
No, it was something I tried doing various design clubs at my company that I work at, which I won't mention the name of. And and every time I would try, like you would think that at such a big corporation, they would appreciate an employee taking initiative to bring people together to talk about design. And I would get so much pushback. And every time I wanted to do some kind of program, they would come back to me with requests to come up with metrics of success. So if I told them I want to get, once a month designers together in this company for 1 hour optional to talk about some technology or some tool, to me that's a brilliant idea. It's like who would not want that?
Yeah, it's
But
R&D that's ready-made
yeah,
and self-initiated.
but they wanted some tangible return on investment. Like they wanted me to quantify the results of what I could predict would happen. And every time I would do these things, they would come back with more questions to the point where anytime I made a request to do one of these things, at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, I would include a FAQ where I would address every single question they were going to ask me. Like, how are you planning on getting people to come to this? What are they going to bill it to? How long is it going to take? What are you going to talk about? Like all of these things. Is it going to be recorded? And it just became so frustrating. And I think I don't like hearing no when it comes to things like that. So I think there's a part of me that in the beginning I was doing this kind of as a way to prove something. And I think I proved something.
Yes, we're going to get to that moment of success, but I do have to just dial this back just a bit here to the PowerPoint moments. Did
Yeah.
that happen one time, or was that a recurring thing you would do for every PowerPoint you made, every sort of introductory
Yeah.
presentation you were making? Were you answering the questions as well as presenting them? And did they ask you to do that, or was that you just being like, bad boy?
That was me being bad boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew what they were going to ask. And I wanted to just deflect that before they even came to me with those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because there was one period where I did one of these book discussions at the company, and that discussion went so well that it led to the firm creating a new offering that was widespread across our entire team.
A library? Is that what you're referring to?
It was
Or programming?
an offering that we would sell to clients. And to me that just proves that sometimes, you don't need to have a plan before going into something. Like sometimes whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I get really upset and pissed off when people try to define things early on and are like not willing to be open to the magic of something wild showing up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because you really can't predict everything. It does have a life of its own.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were not able to predict the fact that you would have done 99 conversations
Hmm.
and have posted and published them.
Yeah. I
And how
remember,
often did you do them? Like it's every 2 weeks you do one.
yeah, it's every 2 weeks. And I remember when I was at episode like 28 or something, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is so much, like 28 episodes. I can't believe I even know 28 people. And now it's 100. And I still can't believe that I know that many people.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask that question. Like, how do you determine who's going to be, on your radar? What kind of curiosity do you have? What have they awakened in you that says, I'd love to talk to that person?
Yeah.
And what kind of constraints do you give that decision making? Or do people call you, say, hey, I have something to say?
There's only been one time when someone came to me and they were making repeated requests to be on the show. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that they were like so eager to be interviewed.
Did you
But
ever interview them?
I did, and it's like, I mean, I'll say it, like it's one of my least favorite episodes just because it felt like I was doing it because someone was telling me to do it.
And maybe more to the point, it, you may have felt like you were doing something that had a commercial or promotional bent to it,
And
when
it
in
did,
fact
yeah.
it did. And in fact, the night job scene that we all subscribe to at various stages, if not all the time during our careers, is really sacred time. I don't want anybody to sort of like tell me what to do or to sort of contaminate this
Yeah.
blissful whatever I'm doing
Hmm.
with the notion of metrics and commerce and how do you plan to return on
Yeah.
investment? Please, the return on investment is a new kind of metric here for me. It's like, does it soothe my soul? So
Yeah.
yeah, I can see you getting like a little bit unnerved by that. And so the energy that you brought into that conversation wasn't as generous or as spirited as it usually is. Because I find you to be incredibly generous and
Hmm.
you break down any barriers with those you're talking to within minutes.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, best friends. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, have they rehearsed this?
No, there's been no rehearsal. Sometimes the episodes, it's my first time ever speaking with that person in that moment. So you're witnessing, you're like hearing two people connect for the first time ever.
Oh, that is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good.
And a lot of the outreach I do through Instagram. Every now and then I don't like to send formal emails. I hate formal emails. I don't like the whole like, "Hello, my name is Christian. This is what
To
I
whom it
do."
may concern, yes.
I don't like to do that. So my tactic, and it's been working well, and I hope it continues to work well, is I like to message people on Instagram, and all I do is I put a little waving emoji, and that is it.
Is it the overscaled version of it?
It's just regular size.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do that, and then it just happens to work.
That's really good.
And I always show people that because I have students, and I feel like, younger people are they can be so timid when it comes to reaching out, where they want to send every email with like, "Dear so and so, my name is," and then it's just like it just feels too fabricated. And I always share with them, little screenshots of how I reach out to people, and I say, you can try this, but just know that it's not guaranteed to work, but this is what works for me.
Okay, at the risk of turning this into a promotional venue, I'd like to announce right now to your listeners that the first 100 listeners who send a big waving emoji to Christian on Instagram will get a discount
Okay.
on the next faculty that they purchase.
Okay.
The
Perfect.
first 100 people.
Yep.
How's that?
Just the wave emoji. Don't
Just
say.
no, I can't say a thing. That's right. And if you get a response back, you'll get a response back based on your number. I was number 45. And
Okay.
then they have to send their address, of course.
Okay.
And they have to promise to buy because they don't get to redeem this special
Mm-hmm.
bonus.
Okay. I
Okay,
like that.
that's good. A little promotion.
Thanks.
Um, I'm curious, when you do get in contact with these folks, how much research do you do?
I used to do a lot of research, and I still do a lot of research. I used to when I first did my few, like, let's say the first maybe 50 episodes, I would spend a few days just doing research. When I listen back on some of those conversations, I kind of cringe a little bit because I feel like I sound as if I'm reading questions off a list, and it just feels, I don't know. I don't like how I sound. I'm sure maybe other people don't see it or hear it, but today what I do is I'll spend, I don't know, maybe like a few hours just browsing the internet and finding as much as I can about them. My favorite is when I go through their Facebook. And if their Facebook is public, I like to go back and go through like really, really old posts and bring them up mid-conversation as a way to kind of creep them out a little bit. So there was one guest once, and I reference one one of the cars that he would drive 13 years ago. And he was like, "How do you know this?" And then there was someone else where this person dropped out of high school, and I brought that up, and he's like, "How'd you find that out?" And I'm like,
Really?
"I don't know. I just find things out." So it's fun.
I really wish that the technology and the presence of you existed here like 1919. Let's talk to Oz Cooper,
Yeah.
or let's talk to R. Hunter Middleton, or even John Massey, all the folks who've been here, Moholy Nagy. Let's talk to Grigori Kapish. Let's
Hmm.
have conversations with them, and it would have completely inflated the the sort of relationship we have with these designers and these thinkers that have, walked the same streets,
Yeah.
maybe even lived on the same block as
Yeah.
us. But we don't have that access. So I think the gift that you're giving the Chicago design community is this archive of conversation, right? And that researchers in the future, should there be researchers curious about this moment in Chicago design, will have a really fabulous primary source. So I think that's pretty fabulous. Because I know there's been talk about the history of design in Chicago book. And I think that has been jump started a handful of times. There's one that's sort of in the works now. I think it is a very difficult thing to do, but because most of the practitioners are not around, or they've forgotten, or their archives are lost. But I want to just give you like the big applause on
Yeah.
having done 99 of them.
It's fun. And also sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll, like, get up to drink water or something, and I feel scared that I've created this thing, and there's this element of what did I get myself into?
Yeah,
And
or yeah.
I feel so exposed, like I can't hide. And by that I mean I feel like there's too much of Christian, like my voice, my like recordings like this. I just feel like I've like cemented myself, and it feels like I can't ever just
Hide.
disappear. I can't
Yeah, no,
hide. Yeah.
that's right. But I would bet in a lineup,
Mm-hmm.
most designers in Chicago be hard pressed to pick you out of a lineup. I don't think they might, if it was an audio lineup, they
Mm-hmm.
would definitely recognize your pace and your pitch and the whole sound of your voice. But I do really love the fact that you've been able to take us into the Chicago graphic design community through your own lens, right? We see it through your filter,
Mm-hmm.
and I find that to be really nice. And yes, if it was to pass on to somebody else, just like late night TV passes from one
Mm-hmm.
person to another, the insights and entertainment, good use of one's time, changes. The complexion's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly, well, I'm just say I know that the answer to this question, if we distill it to one word, has three characters in it. Do you feel the love among the club members?
I
In
would,
one word. Oh, in one word. Let's do it in one word.
yes.
Boom, three characters.
I was
Okay.
gonna
Was
say
that all?
I do is also three
I
characters.
do, that's good, but that's two words. Okay. How would you describe this community?
I find it extremely generous, open. There's a sense of humility that I'm really inspired by. No one I ever come in contact with ever comes across as superior or holier. So I like to think that there's this notion of flattened hierarchy in Chicago. And that could be true or not, but that's my attitude towards it. And that's kind of how I approach the people that I come into contact with. And to me, I feel like it feels good, but also, how do I put it? Yeah, I would say like generosity, there's humility, flattened
It's
hierarchy.
Yeah, I like that perception. I think that's a very fragile
Mhm.
state of being, too. It would be so easy for the awareness of the Chicago graphic design community to sort of go to the collective head and say, "Whoa, aren't we important? We're so visible."
Yeah.
And I've always noticed the same, that there would be accessible practitioners at all levels working in the city, proud to be working in the city.
Mhm.
Yeah, even my dog is like barking. You're going to have to be dismissed here. This is Winnie the Poodle, my
Yeah.
trusted collaborator on most projects of late. However, she's getting a little anxious that I'm not talking to her, instead talking to you.
Is there with Winnie, is there inspiration in the name that comes from Winnie the Pooh?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And now that the Olympics are coming up, Winnie is quite the athlete in the snow
Okay.
that I, I want to have a thing called the Poodle Olympics.
Nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
And she's going to win every gold medal because she's the only one competing.
Yeah. These last few days, I've been listening to the audiobook called The Tao of Pooh. Are you familiar?
No, but as a
Mm.
dog owner, it sounds like something I should be familiar with.
It's about the philosophy of Winnie the Pooh.
Ah,
And it's a quick read, and it's just so like Winnie the Pooh. I see myself a lot in Winnie the Pooh because
oh,
and there's a story in the book about Winnie the Pooh had I think he was going to Eeyore's house and was going to bring him a jar of honey. And on the way, Winnie the Pooh ate the honey. And midway, he got really stressed out and was like, "What am I going to do?" I like ate his gift. And what Winnie the Pooh did is he just wrote on the jar "Happy Birthday" and gifted a jar instead of the jar with the honey. And I feel like to me that's like such a parallel comparison to creativity is that like we improvise, and sometimes you might eat the honey and you might be the one that screws up, but there's ways around everything. And uh and I just keep thinking about that.
I think the empty jar is also a pretty cool gift, right? Because it
It is.
represents something that can be filled, and you can
Uh-huh.
put anything you want into it.
Yeah.
You appreciate the void that's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we're at that stage now where on any given day, and for a few years, and now for years to come, we're going to be hearing about a future that I don't know, we maybe didn't anticipate, or at least so vividly.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that this is going to have an impact on some level to every human being in every city, and it's going to trickle down to graphic designers somehow. Is the community that is the Chicago Graphic Design Club, do you feel that's a resilient community? Are they sort of like up for the challenge?
I think I want to say yes, but I don't want to be dishonest because I do feel like there is I feel for the emerging designers, like the younger people that perhaps don't have the foresight to anticipate what may be coming. But to me, I think that there's great role models in this city, and I put it upon the role models to kind of serve as those beacons that can guide the next generation. And I feel like the resilience is in those role models and in those people that are willing to give back and lead through example. Like I would put
Hmm.
you in that category of someone that younger people today that maybe, were born in the year 2005, like they're learning about you. And through your work and through hearing you speak, they're learning about what's possible, and they're just learning about possibility. And to me, that's the resilience is there. The resilience is in the few people that I think are carrying everyone across the shore in whatever way that may be.
When I see images of communities like Minneapolis pouring
Mhm.
onto the streets, and I just use them as that city as one example because it happened
Mhm.
in Chicago, but from Toronto of late, it's been in Minneapolis. And you just know that not every one of those folks woke up a month ago and said, I am a political activist. But actually, what they did was they sort of discovered how human they were,
Mhm.
and how much they needed one another and were willing to help one another, even if it was just in standing next to somebody.
Yeah.
And so I think the graphic design community, while we have been, and this is my editorial, not yours, but we have been as a group beyond just the boundaries of Chicago, complicit in allowing messages that maybe never deserved to be told as if they were truth, look
Mhm.
like they were truth, right? And so we have some penance to serve, and we can all learn to forgive as long as we learn to do it better and to do it for all the right reasons. And I think that's the value in having a club. On some level, you go, well, it's the church, it's the religion. No, it's just a kind of gathering, virtual or real, for like minded people
Yeah.
of all ages, all genders, all levels of proficiency. I think that is so fantastic. And then to have their conversations shared so that one can revisit them more than once. And I have done that with some of your guests. And I'd be happy to tell you which, no, I don't remember what numbers they were, but
Which numbers?
which numbers? Hold me to it. Oh my
Let
God,
me
that
quiz
was the
you.
one who was the promotional person. Oh no. Yeah. So let me keep going. I did want to ask you a question here. I know we want to keep the name of your employer off of this tape, but when you started the club, were you working at the same job?
Yep.
Ah, okay. So you've been
Yep.
there a while.
I've been there a while, and I think my advantage that I have with running this organization is that I have learned a lot through that company on how to just operate and how to do things. And like a lot of the strategy, a lot of the ways that we function as a community, as a club, are directly inspired by how I've seen my company run their teams. So there is some influence that trickles across. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much binary between day job and night job. I think it's really a gradient.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, and you want that oscillation to go back and forth because
Yeah.
that's the sweet spot, right? Where
Hmm.
you can be informed and learn from one activity and move it into another.
Yep.
Yeah. So besides the social work, and is the social scene the primary scene of the club? Is that how you think it is sort of moved, or is it something different? You do lots of different programming.
Yeah. I think there's a social aspect, but I also think that there's this professional, oh, I don't want to use that word, but I'll
Don't
use
say
it anyway.
professional.
There's this the there's an educational component of it as well. And I would say that a lot of there's the club that's public facing, but I think that a lot of it also is what happens behind the scenes. And that means how we work together, how we plan, how we collaborate, how we share ideas, how we grow as people. To me, that's also a very rich part of the experience. So, for example, like working with Cheryl for the last few years now, that's been one of the biggest highlights for me. Podcasts, like to me, 100 episodes is just as important as working with Cheryl. Or,
Cheryl, that is so sweet.
yeah, or
I think right now she's hugging her leopard pillow.
yes. Or becoming friends with Barry,
Ah,
or
yeah, Barry
or
Dick.
or I mean, even just being able to collaborate with you, it's like to me that's if there's any metric of success, it's that I get a chance to say Rick Valicenti is one of my good friends, and I can text him and we can talk about anything, and it doesn't just have to be about design. I can come to him with my drama, and I'll get some.
You'll
I'll get
get
a
an ear.
perspective.
You'll get an ear. I think you're touching on something that's pretty fundamental.
Hmm.
You know, good things happen when relationships hold
Yeah.
people together, and those relationships they cross over into all kinds of places, but certainly they help underscore what it is that we all share.
Hmm.
And I know that you have as the club, you know, you have your social activities, which is so great. And I see pictures of these things going like, oh, geez, I don't remember, you know, like doing tracings or rubbings in the cemetery
Yeah.
ever when I was growing up. But what a cool thing to have done, or to hang out in a circle in Grant Park, whatever. So all of those things are pretty great. But lately you've started to push in some directions that I think are also equally admirable, besides the archive of all these conversations. And
Hmm.
one of them, most recent, is this thing. Have you announced it? The experimental type foundry called Point.
Yeah. Point.
Have you announced that, or do we
Yeah.
just?
We've shared that. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting, and I want you to talk about that in a second. But I also want to just sort of like preview the other conversation is going to be focused on faculty, the journal, and then, of course, the cross pollination between a curiosity about typography and a new journal.
Hmm.
It's coming. So we're going to touch on those things. But first, tell me a little bit about Point. I know you're working with Sean.
Hmm.
Tell me about Sean. Tell me what's featured in this first
Yeah.
publication, how many copies you made. Give me the quick
Yeah.
review.
So Sean is also another big milestone for not milestone, but another big highlight of the club is that he's also become one of my best friends.
You
And
talk to him every day, don't you?
we talk most days. He calls me at 4 p.m. when he's driving home from work, and we talk an hour or so until he gets home, and we talk about music, we talk about design, we talk about you, we talk about everything. And
I had a friend in Tom Vac, and I would go to his studio every day on my way from downtown to Evanston, and he was in
yeah,
Rogers Park.
yeah,
And it was just like romance before that was a thing.
yeah. And it's so cool, and I love when sometimes Sean will call me. This happens maybe once every couple of months. He'll be in his garage on a Friday night, and he's been maybe like drinking a few beers,
Yo,
and we just talk for like an hour, 2 hours, and we're talking about music videos. He's talking to me about the old days, and him and I are years apart, and I feel like him and I both learned so much from each other, and we just I don't know. I just love the guy. Like he's like my brother. And
did that
point,
relationship come from the club?
it did, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It was another one of those moments where he submitted a poster to our call for submissions a few years ago, and we just became, it was like instant friendship, like right away. Sometimes you meet someone and you just, there's no, it's just instant chemistry, and that was what it was like with me and Sean, and continues to be like that. So point was, it was his idea. He wanted to, like, he's always making fonts all the time. And I told him, well, wouldn't it be cool if the
He
Chicago,
has a type designing machine. I've
yes,
watched.
yeah, he could make
Mhm.
font, like he works on so many, and it really stresses me out in the best of ways. But he told me that he wanted to sell fonts, or he told me about this project that he had many years ago called Points. And I said, well, let's create a type foundry from the club. Let's make it legit. Let's have an actual separate website that's just Foundry. Let's focus exclusively on typefaces that are more experimental in nature. And then let's promote the fonts through a journal, through a zine that we call Points as well. And we released our first issue late last year, and it features the work of a woman named Wendy Robles, who's been on the episode here as well. And I think it's 12 pages, and it's just like a really candid interview with her where she talks about the work behind the fonts, and she shares some of her research sketches and the magic behind the scenes. So that's that. That's
Very
points.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
And you have it in small quantity, don't you?
It is, we only do 75 issues, or 75 copies per issue. They're all numbered, and you can only get them in person because they're too expensive to ship because of the dimensions.
So that people can send Sean a waving hand. Could you tell everybody his last name and maybe how to get him on Instagram?
Yeah, it's Sean Fermoyle, Fermoyle.
LE.
Yep. His name is on our website if you go to the About page.
And they can find him on Instagram to send him that wavy hand. All right. I think that's going to be a contagious thing. Everybody's going to be sending the wavy hand. You're going to be seeing T-shirts from the design club with a waving hand. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
I like
that'd be
that.
nice. So, the point publication, though you're only making a handful of copies, there is a tradition among type foundries out there to
Hmm.
publish
Yeah,
and to show off the work and make certain that the messages are typeset in their newest or latest
yeah.
font. And of
And it,
course, there's Emigre and T26 at Carlos's studio and Thirst Type at Thirst many moons ago, and there's so many others out there.
yeah,
Uh,
but I think specifically like Chicago has a rich typographic history that spans decades, and it just seems so obvious to continue that legacy and to create a new container for newness.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah.
just right. And I was not discounting it at all by it listing precedents. I was
Hmm.
actually using it as a sort of platform to sort of just say something that's always on my mind. I love the art form of typography, though I'm, you know, brutal at it, not good at all. But I love it as an art form because, like few other art forms, like maybe fashion and music, typography captures and amplifies the moment in time. You can just feel like, oh, that was early 20th century or
Hmm.
early 21st century or in the 90s. You can just see it. You can hear sounds and smells and textures and colors all from letter forms.
Yeah.
So I think there's a real place for it. And I love the fact that the letter forms, while you referred to them as sort of experimental in nature, I think it's just they're so fresh and idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
And that reminds us that they are made by humans. It's
Yeah.
as that you can really feel like, oh, that's Sean or that's Barry or that's
Yeah.
Wendy or that's Betsy or whoever, is
Yeah.
making those letter forms.
Yeah. And the idea is to pair them with stories. Because to me, if you can use typography as a vehicle for storytelling, that's to me that's the sweet spot right there.
And do you imagine then that I know the answer to this question. I was going to say, and I'll let you try it here, but I think I know my answer to this question. Is there a relationship then between the letter forms, the story, and the way that story is delivered?
I would say so, yes. And I think as we continue to develop more of these issues, that language will morph and it'll change and adapt. So I'm excited about that part. I was talking to Sean about this yesterday, and I was mentioning to him that I think every one of these issues, like no two issues should ever feel the same. There should always be some newness to them. There should be like obvious like the consistent masthead and all that stuff. But I think to me, the spark happens in that surprising factor, whatever that is.
Yeah, and you're referring both to point and to faculty.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think the aliveness of that as a way of publishing is
Hmm.
really special because
Yeah.
everyone just signals its moment in time.
Hmm.
So good. So you're working now. I know it because you and I are designing pages for Faculty 3. But I have a sort of like rapid fire question here on
Okay.
faculty. Okay. This is the third issue. They come in at around 100 pages each. They're perfect bound. They get sent out. You make about 300 copies. Right? They're digitally printed at M&G Printing,
Yep.
south side of Chicago on a jet press. Who funds faculty?
I do
Is it self-liquidating?
a little bit.
I love the inherent risk in such a thing and that answer, right? It's
Yeah,
like I
see,
hope you could have said, I hope it's self-liquidating.
yeah, see that's the part that's like the part about me is that like I'm not a good business person. Like I don't care about any of those things, although they do matter and they're important and I should not be saying these things, but yeah, I'm just like I want to produce something that I can be proud of
Totally. It's
and that's
okay to be
it.
cavalier on that
Yeah.
because there's inherent risk in it, but if there's like
Hmm.
great risk and a well-dialed intent, the reward
Hmm.
is going to come in so many ways.
Exactly.
So many ways. And the first way will be that like great buzz that
Hmm.
happens. It's like, oh my God, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're obviously excited about the new issue,
Very
right? Like,
excited.
yeah, like any creative person, like, oh, number two was the best we ever did. And it's like,
Mhm.
what? Number two? We're on number three now.
Yeah.
So, number three, tell us two cool things that you're really buzzed about that are
So,
happening for Faculty 3.
two things. One, I love that Barry Deck is designing a custom font for the publication. Sean kickstarted that font,
But
and
who kickstarted the idea?
the idea was, I mean, you and I were talking about it, yeah, and I feel like, a long time ago you shared this with me, and you said that you're like a clown at a party that just keeps inflating the balloon and just keeps blowing it and blowing it. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. Do you remember telling me that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's what I love about you is that you take one thing and you just expand it and you just keep making it better and better. And and I'm super excited about that. And I know earlier you had mentioned that you're brutal at type design, but the direction that you give and your eye and your taste, to me, it's like it's next level.
Yo, next level.
And I just
Great.
there was one session when it was you, Barry, and and I was just I wasn't talking, I was just listening, and seeing you and him go back and forth on the little tiny details. That was one of those like markers in life where you
If you
wait.
can use, yeah, if you can use word like counter in a sentence, next level.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Next level. There you go.
So,
I appreciate that. I think here's what I saw in that font. Sean was engaged early on. It's like, Sean, we're interested in a monospace font. Let's take a look at some of the better revivals. We're certainly going to look at Chris Sarsby's pitch and sort of the American Courier stuff. And, I think IBM did a little monospace work.
mhm,
But then there's the classics like OCRA
mhm,
that have to be taken into account. And Sean, I don't know what program he was working in, but he really got us looking at it saying, oh, this is pretty cool. But then it was time to put some more air in that balloon. We were going like, what if it was a variable font? And what it was like all these things. It's like, oh shit, I didn't like match those points just perfectly on the different weights. So then Barry steps in, he goes, Sean, let me give you a quick tutorial on glyphs. But then I think as some files got exchanged back and forth, it landed on Barry's machine and it was like he started from scratch all over.
mhm,
And what we have as a result of that back and forth, I think, is just like a fantastic new thing,
mhm.
a new look at the relationship between machine and humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what's really both in peril and at play socially, culturally, at this moment in time, right? We can just feel it. And what Barry had brought to this direction really just crystallized that moment. And then he's got
Mhm.
like a number of weights, but he's got some very interesting glyphs. And most interesting is this device that he created for the underscore.
Yes.
I was saying, oh, we need some underscore device. And I'm thinking like, oh, we ought to build into the font some redaction keystroke,
Yeah.
cap R option, and everything gets redacted. But he did something even better.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything as interesting as that. And with all of the kind of point pushing and detail work embedded in this family, it's a burden because we're the ones setting it for the first time, you and
Yeah.
I, to sort of not only run it around the block, see what it can do, how's it look set this way, that way, what are the logical sizes, letting, tracking, whatever. Um, yeah, we get to the point where it's like, we should be as precise in our use of this font as Barry was in the rendering of this font, to just enlarge the sort of moment to introduce itself to the world. There will be those who use it in ways nobody can imagine
Mhm.
and maybe far more reckless than what you and I have been doing. But I think in this first issue of Faculty, we're going to demonstrate a kind of full breadth of what it can do and at the same time be like super tight and perfect and
Yeah.
rigid. And I think we have together, you and I, have found these moments where we're waiting for the physicality of a good idea, the buzz that comes from it or the tingle to make itself clear when we're working on Zoom. And when we do find it, we go, yes, it's so good. It's so good. And yeah,
Yeah. I love,
it's really fun process.
yeah. And I also just want to mention how awesome it is to be able to say that Barry Deck, the guy who worked on Ray Gun magazine, is now creating a custom type for this publication that I came up with years ago. And then I'm working on it with Rick. Like that is just, it's like,
Next level.
how did I sandwich myself like between like these giants?
Well, Barry's tall. I'm pretty short, but my age-old girth is it's weighing in. It's good. Okay, so now let's get to the good part. First of all, if that wasn't the best pitch for a publication, you will have that thing self-liquidated in no time.
Okay.
Just no time at all. It'll be great.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
You just know that. Right.
All right, all right, never mind.
Okay, rapid fire. Here we go. Okay. Most people don't know, but this is like the interstitial before we get to the good part of our conversation. Rumor has it you are a black belt in martial arts.
I am.
Yes. What is the martial art you practice?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And is there a special dojo you go to in Oak Park?
I go to the same place that I started training at, August 21st, 2015. That was my first class. And the academy is called Uflacker Academy. My teacher's name is also Christian Uflacker. And he is Brazilian. He came to Chicago when he was young. He came here with no money. He did not speak English. And he's one of the best jiu-jitsu instructors, and his lineage is not that far from the founders of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So being his student is like, I mean, he's the equivalent of like a Rick Valicenti in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu world.
I feel sorry for him. He probably gets his ass kicked everywhere. I wouldn't want to be that. You got to give him something better, you know, like do the Michael Bay route, or do somebody else who's like way up there.
No, and it's like something that I've I mean, it sounds cliche to say, but like it's one of those practices that have transformed my life.
I bet.
And
How often do you do it?
right now I do it twice a week at most, because that's all that my schedule allows me to do, but I still train every single week. Yeah.
Okay, so to just add more things to your schedule, are you teaching?
I am teaching, yep.
Where do you teach?
I teach a class I teach at DePaul University, and right now I'm teaching a class on web design.
And you're a practicing Buddhist?
I do practice Zen Buddhism, yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you sleep?
I do sleep.
Wow.
Yeah, I love sleep.
Oh, you love that?
I love sleeping.
Yeah, it's amazing with all that you have on your plate, and you keep a day job. You're so balanced and centered.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool thing. So you told me where you grew up. Do you speak only one language?
I speak Spanish as well.
Fluently?
Yep.
Are you the only child? No, you're not. You have a brother, you
I
said.
have a brother, yep.
Yeah. Do you have a pet?
I do. I have a border collie. His name is Moo.
Moo. M-O-O?
M-U.
M-U. What does that mean?
The name means nothing.
Does it mean nothing?
Yeah, it means nothing, or it means emptiness.
Oh, nice. It's like that peanut butter jar or the honey
Yep.
jar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We know where you live. We know where you teach. We know that you sleep. Thank you. That was the rapid fire part.
I also eat.
You eat. Oh my God. Do you cook?
I do.
Are you a vegan?
I am a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Although I feel like
Do you ever cheat?
Huh?
Do you ever cheat? Like, I'm going to do the little pescatarian night?
Never. I've been vegan since it was my New Year's resolution, 2011.
Was it for health?
I think I was vegetarian before then since the 7th grade, and pretty much the only thing that was holding me back from being vegan was not eating things that had like milk ingredients. So I just cut that off, and I'm like, all right, well now I'm vegan. It's never been for health reasons. To me, it's always been like one for the animals, and then also when I first became a vegetarian, I did it to piss off my family.
Mhm. So they couldn't serve you anything?
Well, I just thought that how cool would it be to me it was like the ultimate form of protest is like I am not gonna eat meat.
I don't either, so I can relate. Yeah. So I want to just say now, just take a breath.
Okay.
We've talked about the club, we've talked about the publication, we've talked about underscore, we've got all that stuff sort of done. And we know that you you work about 3 jobs. Everything I asked you so far was kind of a softball question. It was like it could have run in People magazine or something, right? Like, here, today's conversation with Christian, People magazine. But take another deep breath. I want to just sort of get to the relationship you have with your own creative process.
Okay.
It's something that maybe you don't even think about. I don't know. Maybe you don't know that you're holding close to you your personal muse. But I know for myself, I'm kind of aware of my creative process, both at the pragmatic level, like how can I make it work? And how do I know when to stop? And how do I know how to jumpstart it? Or when do I take a rest? But I'm also aware that it's a special part of me, and I kind of like enjoy it when I can have conversation when I'm walking the dogs or whatever. And but so I'm just curious, like, what is your relationship with the creative process? And have you seen it? I mean, I could list like all kinds of adjectives you can touch on. Is it rocky? Is it upsetting? Is it rewarding? Is it thrilling? Right? Is it sacred?
Yeah.
But
It's
just give
t
it some thought and riff.
yeah, to me it seems very ordinary. Like I don't spend too much time thinking about it. I just know that I am a very I'm very stubborn and I'm extremely persistent. And I think a lot of it is just I like to do things. I like to be busy and I like to think of to me creativity is humanity's breath. Like it's our proof of life. And if there was, if when we all pass, like the one thing that we leave behind is the things that we created. The moments, the experiences, the conversations, the artifacts, like all of that to me is so precious.
Mhm.
And I think it's why we exist. Like I think that's our purpose in life is to make things. And to me, when I whatever it is that I create, whether it's I'm creating a podcast episode, or I'm creating a page with you for faculty, or I'm serving Moo his dog food. To me, all of that is it's like a fingerprint, and I don't think too much about it. I just know that it's necessary, and when I don't do it, something feels off.
So it is a driving force for you.
It is a driving force.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that in my work with you. I also just want to underscore this fingerprint and this evidence of a breath of life
Hmm.
is why we have museums, right? That they
Yeah,
like house the muse, and those are the things that are left behind by brushstroke or by whatever pixel.
yeah.
That's pretty fantastic, and I think you're well on your way of in helping create forum for
Hmm.
other members of the community to leave their fingerprint in
Hmm.
the publications, in the audio, oral history. That's all pretty fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think of creativity as a form of resistance or resilience against everything that says otherwise. Like I feel like there's so many forces, whether it's our childhood or society or any sort of conditioning that we all experience that tries to push us away from making meaning. And I do feel like it's extremely To me, it feels almost anti-authority to say I'm gonna make something because I can, and you can't
Yeah,
tell me
yeah, it really
otherwise.
underscores the individuality of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no matter what it is you're being asked to make, and no
Hmm.
matter what medium you've been assigned, everybody will do it differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone will do it differently. That's the beauty of it. That's what's so fantastic. The uh, the fact that you were underscoring the act of creation. I used to have a shorthand that I used, which was, the opposite of creation is destruction. The choice is easy for me.
Yeah.
Hmm. And along the way, I may want to destroy some of my preconceptions about what something should be. But I assure you, my resurrection of that, whatever was left behind, is going to be much faster than the East Wing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The You shared with me on one Saturday we were working, and we sort of diverted into a personal conversation, and you were telling me about a conversation you had had with a friend, and the friend was sort of like looking for some justification around the notion that they don't need to do something because they can't see it working out. And you took a pause and you reflected that that's actually the opposite of the kind of relationships you want to foster. You want to
Hmm.
foster those relationships, and this one can be between people, between your creative process, between your collaborators, where you don't really know where it's going, but you trust that the journey
Yeah.
is going to be pretty fantastic along the way,
Hmm.
even if it's not great on one particular day. It's the full
Yeah.
spectrum. I thought that was incredibly enlightened. You said it way better than I did, but I think that was a
Yeah.
pretty cool way to look at, two people in a condition, in a situation, and how they can learn to share the trajectory of
Yeah.
their time together.
I think there is a lot of wisdom and intelligence in not knowing,
Hmm.
and I feel like it's such uh it feels mature, and I think as I've been developing my relationships with people these last 6 or so years, like I feel lucky that I get a chance to learn from people that are older than me and wiser. And I find that the way that wisdom and intelligence seems to manifest for a lot of the people that I look up to is that they're okay with not knowing, and that they're okay with the that empty space of whatever may be there, and I think as people, like, I mean, society pushes this on us all the time, is like this need to have an answer for everything.
Yeah, I know. It's
Everything,
okay not to know. Give
yeah,
yourself permission not to know
yeah.
and to discover.
And to me, that's the creative process, is like, that's my relationship with it, is like this mutual ignorance of, I don't know what I'm getting into, but something's gonna happen. And
Yeah.
it could be good or bad, but regardless, like, it's gonna be something.
Thanks for connecting the dot on
Yeah.
creative process with
Yeah.
that. You brought that full circle. That was really good. I want to just unfold something else that occurred to me. And I've had the privilege not only of talking to you now, but also in collaborating with you on these faculty moments. And this new issue, I think we've done what, like 12 pages or something out of it.
I don't want to think about it, but there's a
I know,
lot.
we'll be done in 2028 at this pace. But the way it's been working is a couple of different ways in which we approach it. It's like just look at the text that's been brought in and
Hmm.
quickly put it in one of the 3 or 4 sizes that we've given in the hierarchy for this typeface, which is being called what, side piece.
Side piece.
Yeah, can you tell me why it's called side piece?
Side piece. So there's three meanings. There's two meanings, but there's a third meaning that I've added to it. So a side piece is the person that you're cheating with.
Yo,
That's a side piece. A side piece is also a gun. Okay. And then the other definition, this typeface is the voice of the things that perhaps you don't feel comfortable saying. Like I think in everyday life, maybe most of us speak in Myriad Pro or Arial or some default font. And to me, side piece is that superhero cape.
yo.
Yep. So that's what I think of side piece. So it could be the person you're cheating with, a gun, or your superhero cape.
I'm going superhero cape.
Yep, superhero cape. And then instead of doing traditional boring weights like lights, regular, medium,
What?
bold,
Semi-bold?
yeah,
You like semi-bold?
we're doing honey drip, honey butter, honey pie, honey cake, honey glob, and honey nuggets. So when we're working together, instead of saying, "Can you make that bold?" you would say, "Can you make that a little, can you make that cake? Or can you
Yo.
make that pie?" And to me,
No, I
that's,
like having the word honey in front of it.
yeah,
Could you bring me some honey pie?
yeah,
These words need some honey pie.
yeah. And to me, that injects humanity into typography. And I noticed that when Barry and I we shared this with you and Sean, we were also looking through the Thirst Type catalog, and there was a font that you created many, many years ago where your weights were A cup, B cup.
What the hell? Was this a midlife crisis moment? I couldn't get out. I'm still in that one.
And uh and I told Bear, I'm like, oh, Rick's probably looking at this like, oh, I've been there, done that.
Well, I think, yeah, I do find it from time to time looking at stuff going, really? Do we need that convention? Does it have to stick? That's sedimentation we need to get away from. Otherwise, we're locked in it forever and ever.
Yeah,
So I like honey pot and honey cake. And do you have
yeah.
honey bunch?
We don't have honey bunch.
That could be the next version.
Yeah, that could be the next
Yeah,
version.
a bunch of glyphs,
Yeah,
honey bunch.
yeah, honey bunch.
And did you know that that was going to have something to do with the Tao Book of Honey? Is that what you're reading?
No, we didn't know that. We were actually inspired by that naming convention came from a person that both Barry and I like on Instagram, and she calls everyone honey pie or honey butter. And we were just like, why not call it honey? Like, why not just have honey as a prefix to
That's great.
all
Yeah.
these weights?
I like it when I go into diners and the waitress will call me Hun.
Yeah,
What can I get for you, Hun?
yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. So with that, let's bring this long-winded conversation to an end and let people get on with their lives
Okay,
in the event that anybody arrived at this moment. How long have we been talking? Can you see?
I can't see.
You can't see. Okay, it's been a long time. Okay, we've done all of the promotional hype that we needed to do, even though that was not the intent. Is there anything you want to say here on the close of the 100th episode? Express gratitude, paint the future. Is there anything you want to do?
Well, I do want to say thanks, but that's boring.
Okay.
But I'll do it anyways. I'm thankful for all the episodes that I've done. I love when people text me. So one of the things about this podcast is that I don't obsess about the metrics, like how many people are listening to this episode. I don't care about any of that stuff. I do look at it just because anytime I upload a new episode, like I have to walk through the analytics dashboard that tells me how the podcast is performing. And I know that in order for any podcast to be super, super successful, you need to promote the crap out of it. And and I don't do that enough, but I am working with some new people on our team that are going to be helping promote the podcast more on social media. So hopefully that expands our reach. But I'm saying this because to me, the most special form of appreciation that I receive is when someone texts me and says that they've listened to an episode and that they enjoyed it. So I want to thank the people that do that, that text me and just say like, "Hey Christian, that was a cool conversation that you had." And then I also want to thank all the loyal listeners that I know listen to every single episode as soon as it comes out. Um, that's also cool. It also kind of makes me feel uncomfortable when people tell me that they listen because I don't know, it feels weird. It's like
Well,
it's like they've seen me shower.
no, I don't think I ever had that image. But for those of you out there who have had that image, please send Christian a waving hand with a bar of soap in it right there.
But I am super thankful, and I just want to give a special shout out to the Chicago Graphic Design Club team. I
Yo,
specifically wanted to thank Cheryl for being my other half, and I saw her this morning, and I feel like she's just, so much of this stuff could not be done without her. She's just such a great, amazing person that makes everything that we do a million times better. So I want to shout her out. I also want to shout out Sean for being such a great friend, collaborator. Every time him and I talk on the phone, we always leave the conversation with more things on our plate. And that, to me, that's a sign of a good relationship. That's a good
mhm.
friendship. And then I also want to thank Barry Deck for being a person that I see myself in. I think the other cool thing about this podcast is that it has enabled me to see myself in other people.
Mhm.
And to me, those conversations give me permission to be more me. And I'm super thankful for that. And then I also want to thank another good friend of mine, Carlos Segura, who
Mm.
I talk to almost on a daily basis.
You call him Los?
I just call him Carlos. Yeah. And he's just another person that I've just can go to with any question, and we sometimes we don't even talk about design. We just make stupid jokes and we share inappropriate memes on Instagram and we just laugh and just it's just a fun friendship. And then I also want to thank you, Rick,
Ah,
for
thank you. You're welcome.
just for being Rick and just for letting me into your world and showing me so much and being such a great teacher and friend and collaborator. And it's funny because sometimes people ask me questions like, what is Rick like? What is it like to work with him? Like they almost talk about you as if you're some unicorn that that's like frolicking in a field. And and I always tell them like he's just like a cool, fun guy, like approachable. Like don't if you want to talk to him, just reach out to him. He's not intimidating. He's not like a person that's going to talk down, and he's just a really cool, approachable guy. And I think that's what I wish more people knew in the community is that you should just reach out to your heroes because most likely they'll want to talk with you. So,
I can say that our conversation today doesn't feel, and I'm just basing it on the physical sensations that I'm having, it doesn't feel any different than the conversations we have when we're working
yeah.
or planning something. So
Mhm.
I think that's the sign of at least the podcast I hope we would make
Mhm.
would be just a revealing one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've revealed yourself in such a crystal clear way. Crystal clear. So anyone who's ever curious about Christian, just watch episode 100 over and over.
Watch it in slow, like
Slow
half
motion.
speed.
Happy. Okay. First, you have to tell me, what is that graphic on your container, your liquid container?
So this is a sticker
Yes?
that was given to me by Jackson, and it says Humanist Sans Serif. This is
Nice.
our
Is that a
logo.
new typeface that he's designed?
No, this is not a new typeface.
Ah,
This is a sticker that was designed by my former boss named Brian Morris. He's the one that in Faculty 2 did the Mona Lisa
oh yeah.
illustration.
Great. That's a really nice sticker. I was looking at that one when it
Yep.
flashed earlier.
And then this here says Bison, and Bison is my name that was given to me by my Zen community, and it means Plum Mountain.
Mhm.
And then this is a rose that's upside down.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. With that, we shall sign off. And I forget how you always close your podcast, but I think it's up to you now to close this podcast with your normal thing.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And to learn more about us, visit www.chicagographicdesign.club. If you enjoy conversations like these, leave us a rating wherever you listen. It helps expand our reach. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Here, I thought you were always reading those things.
No.
At what number did you know you had it memorized?
Probably just now.
Good. That's what we want to say. We want to end on the notion of now. Thank you, Christian. Goodbye.
All right.
Have a lovely evening.
So, yeah.
Bye.